and welcome to a new episode of PR360. And as always, please subscribe to PR360 on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Leave a review, really does help with the rankings, and let us know how we are doing. But this week, I have Shana Bull with me, and she is a digital marketing. So we're going to be talking about digital marketing, specifically about book publishing, but also children's books as well. So if you're ever wondering, but also she is a children's book author as well. She co-wrote with her son. She does help with small businesses, including in areas like Long Beach, Orange County, which is in California, Sacramento, Paso Robles, Temecula, Slow, and many more. But welcome to the show, Shana.
Hey, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
No worries. And the first question I ask all my guests is, are you a coffee or tea drinker?
I like that question because I am both.
Mm.
Over the pandemic, my husband and I have spent a lot of money trying to figure out the right system for our house now that we both work from home. And we finally we have a Mr. Coffee pour over machine. And
Mm.
in the morning, we do half decaf because we're both already hyper. So we do half decaf that we get from our local Bay Area coffee shop every morning, and then at night we enjoy sleepy time tea with some honey or almond milk after our son goes to bed.
Nice. So do you have any like favorite tea brands in that area, or is it just one specific thing, or any coffee?
Coffee, Phil's Coffee. It is a local Bay Area chain that I'm obsessed with. They have a like million different variations of coffee, light, dark, in between, all of that, and they have a few decafs as well. And then in terms of tea, traditional medicinals. They're based in Sonoma County, which is about an hour north of San Francisco.
All right, it all sounds good, but I gave a brief summary of your expertise. Can you give us a little bit more for listeners?
You know what? Summarizing my experience is a catch all because my experience has been I guess started off as a small business owner 13 years ago during the recession. I was laid off from a PR agency and a marketing agency, and so I started teaching classes with a local tourism agency. It was a 1 hour class on the importance of connecting with others on social media. Like literally, it was specifically a class that taught people how to connect on Twitter and Facebook. Since then, a lot has changed. You know, we have the rise of Instagram and now TikTok, imagery, and now video. And so I've had to stay on top of social media trends throughout the years. I've done lots of consulting, management, and I've taught lots of social media classes. Pre-pandemic, I was also a writer for a few different hospitality publications, writing about everything from digital marketing to music, concerts, restaurants, parenting, and wine. And then most of those gigs actually went away at the beginning of the pandemic. And then a few months into the pandemic, I actually found out I had anal cancer. It was a whirlwind of radiation and chemotherapy that actually left me bedridden for about 2 months. And I had to say goodbye to a lot of my clients and focus on, healing. Within that time, I didn't really have much to do except nap and watch a lot of reality shows. So I did some research on self publishing because it's always been a dream of mine to become an author. And I wanted to write a how to marketing book. But I also had a children's book that I co wrote with my son. It was actually sitting in my notes app on my phone for about 3 years. Literally, he and I wrote it when he was 2 years old. Um, so the pandemic and cancer made me realize that, you know what, right now is a good time to get it published. Why not? So we ended up with a hybrid publisher, and in April of 2021, I found out the cancer was gone. So that's good news. And then literally a week later, the very first Randall the Blue Spider book came out, and each of the books in the series will focus on a different aspect of children's mental health. because that's become something that's super important to me as a mom and a small business owner and a human being. It's important to talk about big feelings that children go through. And right now we have 2 children's books published, and the third one will be coming out pretty soon, and that one's on picky eating and friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
is that a summary for you?
that's a pretty good summary. That's a lot. I mean, we're happy you're still here with everything that you went through. I mean, you get to share all this knowledge, but we're still happy as personally as well as that you're actually still here as well.
You know what, I am so excited that I was able to go through it. Obviously, it was hell. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but some really good things came out of it. You know, getting the book published, and now this kind of pivot in my career from just doing digital marketing to be able to have these books and also learn about a marketing industry that I've never been a part of. My past marketing life was in the food, beauty, and alcohol space. Definitely not children's books. So I'm kind of learning as I go with connecting with moms, which is really easy because I'm also the target audience.
That's true. I mean, the best marketers are sometimes the best target audience at the same time. But
Exactly.
marketing books, I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about. So, how has marketing changed since the pandemic for books? Because I'm, as I've known as a novice myself about the book marketing part, is that you did go to bookstores and you did sign that type of stuff. You went to bookstores, you shared your book, but that kind of changed a little bit since the pandemic. So, how is that veered off? Are we doing like virtual book signings or whatever? Is like, what is that all about?
Yeah. So, considering that my book came out in literally a year into the pandemic, I've only been able to do 2 in-person events since that happened. So I would say that's a huge change for authors and publishers. We were seeing trends. We all know that Amazon is a huge player in the book industry. The reason is because they can sell books for cheaper. It's a fact, and also I get a good amount of money with publishing my books on Amazon versus in a local bookstore. But that being said, it was really important to me to have my books in local bookstores that mattered to me. I grew up in wine country, just an hour north of San Francisco, in a small town, and it was really important for me to have my book in that bookstore that I grew up going to as a kid. So I was able to connect with them through email and get the book in there. But marketing has changed since the pandemic because it's all online right now. I have done a few different events. I've done a 5K for cystic fibrosis charity, and I read the book to people before the 5K. And I've done a lot of book readings through Zoom with different kindergartners all across the United States. Like I've been able to talk to people in Houston and Seattle and Long Beach. So it's actually kind of good. It's been forcing me to get more creative with my marketing.
Gotcha. And then what have you found is the best strategies for marketing your book? Has it been like going on podcasts? Has it been doing video? Has it been just trying to go to bookstores if you actually can?
All of the above. No, to be honest, with my first book, I had a lot of excitement from friends and family. And literally, I created a Facebook group and invited people that I knew that would want to share a link or, buy a book and leave a review on Amazon. That's that's one of the most important things for publishers and book writers to have those reviews on Amazon or wherever you are, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble, Target, whatever makes sense. And so getting out there and starting with the low hanging fruit of friends and family who want to support you, ask them to send out your link, ask them to buy the book, to review, stuff like that. And it makes a difference in the Amazon algorithm because the more reviews you have, the more kind of clout you have within the app. So that's good for sales. And that's good for future sales as well, because the more reviews you have, the more your book and the keywords come up in the algorithm.
So is any like good practices to get people to review? Because even in podcasting, reviews are good, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like pulling teeth just to get people to actually review your actual podcast and or book, because it's like, well, I bought it, and the only people that really reviewed it a lot of times are the people mad at you for whatever you actually did or didn't do in their mind.
Exactly. That's where begging comes in. I'm serious. I am not joking. I literally what I did in this Facebook group was I asked everybody to get the book right away, leave a review as soon as possible, and then I followed up. And just with them. I wasn't harassing, people I didn't know or even people that I'm friends with in air quotes on Facebook. These people that I may not have even met in person or just acquaintances. I wasn't harassing them, but you better believe that I was harassing my mom to leave them and my best friends and getting my husband to harass his friends. So in terms of children's books, that's easy to do because the commitment isn't like an entire 500 600 page book. I do have a marketing book coming out, and I won't be able to harass people the same way to get those reviews. But for my very first children's book, I was able to. And for the first book, I have over 100 reviews on Amazon. And I guess that's like a magic number. My second book, I only have 30 reviews. So it was like that excitement. Take advantage of the excitement for your first book or your first venture, and then you know just keep going with it.
What's the title of your marketing book going to be? Just curious.
I don't know.
Ah,
I think it's going to be something similar to my Instagram class. So pre-pandemic, since 2018, I had a class called Recipe for Instagram, where I had this literal recipe for what you should be doing on Instagram. Because I come from the food business world, I thought that was kind of nice to put marketing strategy into a recipe of that you can alter depending on how much garlic you like or how much how much you want to change it up to be your personality. So I think the book is going to be similar to that. Maybe not just Instagram, because I am focused more on I'm focused a lot on TikTok right now, to be honest. I'm having such a blast using that platform. It feels like the beginning days of Instagram, where everything was a little messy and not this like perfect image that you curate and make people pretend like everything is perfect.
gotcha. I mean that goes into like, is there specific social medias that are better for authors and book publishers to actually use over others? Is it better to use quote unquote TikTok, or is it better for Twitter, or is it really does it depend on the book that you're actually trying to
It
sell?
depends on the book, it depends on the person, and it depends on the audience. For me, Instagram is really good, but for the book itself, my personal Facebook page is the best because I'm friends with a lot of my mom's friends, and they are willing to do anything to help out their friend's daughter. And especially it helps because my co-author is an adorable little redhead 6-year-old. So that doesn't hurt. And so Facebook's is the like best platform for direct sales for me. But I'm using TikTok to kind of grow my audience of frustrated moms that kind of are burnt out a little bit and find humor in everything. So that's kind of my audience on TikTok. Whereas on Instagram, it's small business owners and marketers.
Gotcha. I mean,
Yeah,
hey, just use the platform that is good for you. I mean,
exactly.
it makes sense for children's book that Facebook would be a little bit better because it feels like moms are a little bit more on there than the other ones. I mean, okay.
Grandmas are on there. I will say that because so I'm what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to let people know that like TikTok, 40-year-old moms are on TikTok. It's not just dancing kids, and I'm learning a lot about composting on TikTok. And so I want to like let people know that TikTok is actually a really good place to get real information and be educated about things that matter to you, unlike Google or even YouTube, where you can look up composting for beginners and you can have like these half-hour long videos that like go into detail about the person's life, and I'm like, no, I just want you to answer my question. Should I poke holes in the bucket? And TikTok is like, yes, this is how you do it. So I like the kind of getting straight to the point. And I think we're seeing that with all of social media. Instagram is now going to start even relying on reels even more as it changes up the feed. They want to be TikTok. They're mad that TikTok's getting all this attention right now. And they are I don't know, they're not looking so great right now. Meta.
Oh yes, Meta, which we'll still all call it Facebook, just because.
it, it's silly, but I get the name change. I wish there was more changes, especially in the highest levels of the company.
Fair enough. But
You can guess what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about.
uh, but I mean, going back to what you said about getting the answers quickly, I mean, isn't that kind of like a good strategy for maybe book publishers that want to help other or book authors that want to help other book authors? You use YouTube videos to do longer explanations, but shorts and or TikTok to use short. This is the answer to your question type of a thing.
Exactly. I see TikTok or Instagram Reels as having two things. Using the trending sounds, that whatever's popular at the moment, to relate that back to whatever your niche is. For me, being a mom or children's book writing are my two niches with that. And so I'll use a trending sound and kind of make a joke, and that can capture attention. But then I use me talking about mental health issues and how to write a children's book or how to market a children's book, and that keeps people in my community for longer. So it's kind of a double strategy of making people laugh really quickly and then keeping them there with really good, precise information. I think that makes sense across all digital marketing. Websites, they should be straight and to the point and, have a kind of singular call to action instead of, talking about everything and being everything to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, even for podcasting, that's the same thing too. Be niche first or small, and then grow as you grow, because that's how people come to you, is through being specific to something, not just.
Exactly.
So,
A lot of the times I do searches in the podcast in Apple Podcasts for a specific topic, and I might not follow the company or the podcast network, but I might come back to it over and over again. I do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then speaking of, or just talking a little bit more about the physical stores, and now are we going to see a return to that? We're going to see a return to people seeing their authors, book signings again? Are we going to see a slow return? Because it looks like a lot of places are opening back up for a third or fourth time, or how many times there actually is.
Well, I'm in the Bay Area, so I think we're going to be the last ones to officially open back up. And to be honest, our mask mandate is gone now, but my family's still going to be wearing masks for a while. And I think small business owners are reluctant here to plan anything because we have had false excitement in the past year where last summer we thought this was over. Let's be honest, we all did, and it wasn't. And people planned weddings, people planned big events, and they've had to be postponed a lot. So I think people are going to be dipping their toes into in-person events, specifically in the Bay Area. I can't speak for other places because I know I have a friend in Houston that she's a children's book author and she's doing a lot of events. So, you know, it is what it is. But I do think that moving forward, I don't want to just do book readings. I want to have like an experience with people. And I think that that's always been my brand as a marketer, especially in like the wine industry that I came from. You know, there's thousands of wineries and sometimes they all kind of blend together, but it's the personality that makes them different. I mean, good wine is important, yes, but the personality behind the people who make the wine is even more important, especially for remembering that wine. And I think it's the same for children's books. So I have a few different types of events that I want to do. One of those being a bug scavenger hunt that I want to do because all of my books are going to be revolving around bugs that live at the beach. They're little bugs that are in kindergarten and they play on the beach, and I mean it sounds fabulous. Sounds like a fabulous life. But I want to do a bug scavenger hunt. I also have exercises that are bug related and beach related. That is kind of fun. I was actually able to do that at a gym outside last summer. I did a book reading and then I was able to do exercise classes where I pretended to be a crabby. And like and there was like 10 little like kids that ranged from like 1 years old to 8, and they were all doing the little crabby dance with me. And so experiences is what I love doing, and I think that's what's going to be remembered long after the event instead of just a book signing.
So we're gonna do book signing 2.0 is gonna be book experiences. So would that entail like what you said, like exercises? Would it also entail more interactive books, or maybe even going into VR and experiencing your own book at the same time? Could that be
I
part of
mean,
the new trend, I guess?
with enough money, yeah. Moving into like Web 3.0 or something like that, we'll be looking at doing stuff that can focus on, for me, answering questions for parents when it comes to like mental health issues, like within a created online space. I was actually talking to a friend who's deep into this women and Web 3.0 Twitter spaces. And we were talking about how we could bring the Randall and Friends world of bugs at a beach like into the Web 3.0 space where we can answer quick questions for parents. So questions about mental health, or for anyone who's been a parent of a baby, you're Googling how to get baby to sleep at 3 a.m. Like, I don't know any parent that has had a kid within the last 10 years that hasn't been waking up at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. and Googled something. And you go to Google and it's like a million different answers. So just like TikTok, I want to go back to like very specific answers to things. So that
Gotcha.
might be something
I
in
mean,
the future.
yeah, I mean, you could even go look at NFTs and look at doing limited edition type of covers, or even like beginning covers or beginning manuscripts, and kind of, I guess, branching out of there, because Web 3.0 is still newish and people are
Hmm.
still trying to figure out that avenue of, I know it's more community based. So you're on the right track of like community and building a community, maybe even having creator coins for your specific community at the same time.
I love it. And you know what? Speaking of NFTs, I would love to work with my illustrator, who's a friend of mine, to come up with specific Randall and Friends NFTs. Maybe one that gives the owner early access to every single Randall book in the future. Um, they could, spend a little bit of money and have a PDF of the books a few days before it comes out, because I'm always looking for ways to engage and get people excited. And I could also see NFT holders, having the producer role with my books, helping name future bugs, or like someone could buy a book or an NFT and have their name be a character in the book, or something fun like that, and in addition to like early releases.
I know. I mean, it's the best time to actually experiment with Web 3.0 since, like I said, we're still trying to figure it out.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I am with the idea of digital marketing in general. I mean, there's things that we know work, sending people down a funnel on your website to email marketing. But then there's also a lot of things that, we're just kind of guessing. There's creators on TikTok that just started like a month ago and they already have 1 million followers. It's wild to see that.
I know, because the traditional social media, that would take you several months, if that. But
Oh, years. I
yeah.
mean, I've been trying. I would love to have 1 million. I don't even know if I'd actually love to have 1 million followers. I feel like there's a lot of blowback that would come with that. But on my Instagram channel, I've been doing that since Instagram started, and I have 13,500, something like that.
Hmm.
But the people that follow me are really focused. They kind of have the same niche. You know, Small business owners, marketers within the wine, food space. I mean, I have a few people that sell crystals and a few book authors as well, but that I really kind of found my niche specifically in digital marketing with that. So now I'm kind of branching out to be more within the children's book space.
Gotcha. And so, like, we're talking about content, but even extra content would be the NFTs and everything. So, are we seeing like maybe like an interesting way of basically self-published authors making it without the publisher? Are we seeing like more of a cutout of that because of NFTs, crypto, uh, basically Patreon, all the other spaces allowing authors to actually bypass a lot of publishers that may not even give them a chance a lot of times?
Oh, yeah. Actually, Amazon is the reason that self-publishing is huge right now, because they made it really easy to be able to do that. And like I said in the beginning, I looked at self-publishing, and there's a lot of ways to do it, and it's actually really easy. That's also part of the problem, because there's so many people doing it right now, and that's actually why I ended up going with a hybrid publisher. I basically hired my publisher to help me with marketing and making sure that the books are, um, she knows what she's doing, and I didn't in the children's book industry. So she's been able to help me a lot.
And then, are there going to be any new trends coming from the book publishing side for children's or just books in general? There's any new trends you're seeing? Where I know we talked about Web 3.0, but anything else besides that?
I think authors becoming experts online is something I'm seeing. I'm following authors talk about their experience in how they release their book. Before it was gatekept by the publishers, and they didn't want to tell people how to do it because they wanted to be the ones to do it. And now authors can, bypass that and go straight to the public and tell their story. And I think, authors that have a good story, that have a reason for why they published a book, I think those are going to be the ones that stand out. I have cancer, and my son, he has a disease called cystic fibrosis. And that's a big part of why we wrote the book to begin with. So I think having a good story and telling it and being open and honest about your experience, because it's not all sunshine and roses in the children's book industry.
Fair enough. But fun question for you. If you could be any character in any book, what would you be?
I like this because I think the obvious one should be like Hermione, because she's a badass. But I would say I would go with a character from my favorite book from childhood, Miss Honey from the book Matilda. I don't know if you ever saw that movie or read the book, but it's a Roald Dahl book. And at the end, Miss Honey is just such a caring, the entire time she's a caring woman, but at the end she kind of takes control, and she stands up to the bully, and she lives this life that is pretty cool. And so that was one of my favorite books, Matilda, growing up. I think I read it like 100 times when I was a kid, and it made me feel like it was okay to be nerdy and that it's okay to stand up to bullies. So actually, that's the second book in my Randall series talks about standing up to bullies. So I didn't even realize the connection there.
All right. Well, hey, I'm glad I made a connection. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
As I move forward with the idea of mental health, I think it's something that is important to talk about, especially in the social media world, when we are, seeing influencers and other people post these like perfect pictures and videos of their lives. And I think talking about mental health is going to be really important moving forward within the digital marketing world. So I just want to be one of those people that talk about burnout and talk about how hard it is to create ongoing content. I've been creating content for social media for 13 freaking years. It's a pain in the ass. It is constant. You're always having to come up with new ideas, and it gets exhausting. So I want to talk about how ways to get away from your desk and go on walks to clear your mind. And so I'm just doing that as much as possible. So yeah.
Dogs do help with the walk part.
They well, mine doesn't. I will say that. I have a 20-year-old Yorkie who's completely deaf. She's a little 15-pound chunker for a Yorkie. Like, she's not a teacup Yorkie, she's just a regular one. But she doesn't like walking. She likes snapping and snoring and eating.
Okay, I should say younger dogs help you with that. Anyways,
true.
Thank you, Shana, for joining PR360 and sharing your knowledge on marketing, digital marketing, and book publishing.
Absolutely. I am so honored to be here. I appreciate you talking to me. I always love talking about this.
No worries. And thank you for listening to PR360. As always, please subscribe to PR360 on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Leave a review. It really does help with the rankings. Let us know how we're doing. And also, YouTube. Get these lovely videos as well. So subscribe there too. And join us next week as we talk to another great thought leader in the PR industry. All right, guys, stay safe. Get to understanding book publishing if you're